Welcome to Melrose Unitarian Universalist Church. I need to mute my computer. Here we go. Our service today is called Ingathering. Every person, every drop, precious and powerful. Good morning. I am Reverend Dr. Suzanne Trilligator, the minister of this congregation, and it is a thrill to see so many smiling faces, to be back together. I know I needed a long and restful summer, and I had one, and I'm glad to be here. I hope you had a wonderful, restful summer, too. I forgot to say my pronouns are she and her. Every year, it is our tradition to gather and regather at this time with a special ceremony, the water ceremony. We use a bowl of water as a symbol for our community, and we bring water from our homes and our travels to join back into it and to join us together again. If you've brought water today, that's great. There will be a time to bring it forward later on. Thank you, Ethan. And as you do, there will be a time to share your joys and sorrows with this community. And if you haven't brought water, totally fine. We've got you covered. You can see there's pitchers already full up at the front. There is a lot going on at church these days, but I am not going to tell you about it now. You're going to have to read the midweek update for that. What I will say is that next week's service is all about all the new things that we are doing this year, our new RE programs, our new church-wide initiatives, our new staff. It's going to be a big, exciting year here. But today isn't about that. Today is just about regathering with one another, seeing one another's beautiful face, and being in this special, sacred time and place together. Here in our room, there are a few small changes I want to be sure everyone is aware of. You may have noticed there's a mountain. Maybe you didn't know what it was. It's a mountain. It is one of the main characters in our story today, and I made it myself. I'm not bad with glue. I'm not a painter, but I can glue things. I've already moved mountains, and the year hasn't even started yet. We have a new toddler play area in the very back. You remember last year we had a little one in the aisle. We've expanded it, and we have some people using it, so please feel free. That's a special place. So families can now choose to stay with us and play during the worship service, or they can go down and use our nursery, which has just been revamped, and we have new staff members, 2 staff members down there today, a volunteer and a paid person. So it's very exciting. We also have a new seating area up front for big kids. So they're down here where they can see better and take part in the story. Ethan, good waving. And I want to say a special welcome to people joining us online from home. Hi, everybody. Let's see. You may want to get yourself some water and a rock. Does everyone here have a rock? You were supposed to be handed one on the way in. Raise your hand if you don't have a rock, and we can get one to you. Good, excellent. Owen didn't get a rock. I think Owen brought the rocks. So folks at home, you might want to get a rock. We're going to do a little meditation on it later. And you might want to get some water to be part of this. So have those with you in your viewing area. I want to say that today's service will be different from what you're used to. Perhaps 4 or 5 times this coming year, Katie and I will be creating multi-gen services like this, designed to be friendly and engaging for people of all ages. So we tossed out the usual worship format so we could fit in more story, more movement, and more time for interaction. I know this makes some people nervous. So here is a brief outline of what we'll do today. Here we go. We're already starting the opening. This is the welcome. We'll do some other things that are very familiar to you. And then you can see we've divided the story into 4 parts that we will revisit throughout the service. Stories in 4 parts. After each part, we'll do some reflecting. We'll have some music. We'll do a ritual. Don't worry, I will guide you through the whole thing. But if you need more guidance than that, feel free to go ahead and take a photo of this slide so you can return to it through the service. So, let's see, where am I? As I did say, there will be a time for you to come forward and pour out your water into the bowl. and we will share with one another our joys and our sorrows in different places today, but they will happen, rest assured. I want to give special thanks out to all who are helping with today's service. Ushers, Wendy and Mark, thank you. Coffee hosts, Janice and Don, thank you. And Nancy, our greeter. Now, speaking of greeting, it is time for our weekly ritual of greeting one another and our friends online. There we go, there's our people. Hi, everybody, let's wave to them, and then turn around and wave to each other. Shake hands, give hugs. Good morning. Thank you. Good to see you. Wonderful, thank you. I call us to worship this morning with these words by the Reverend Molly Hausch Gordon, who is our minister in Columbia, Missouri. She writes, "We gather this morning tenderly like drops of dew on a leaf of grass, hopefully like gathered raindrops in a cloud, gleefully like water rushing in a stream to the sea, deeply like groundwater pulled up from a well. We gather from every direction for another year of growth and depth, another year of companionship and hope, another year of learning to love this world. We gather like water that joins us across all of creation, the water that connects us within and without, merging and flowing across the entire world. And now together we light the symbol of our living faith, the flaming chalice. Here to do it is our president this year, Jenny Wencrovius. Jenny, please come forward.
All right, I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit and join me in the words of our covenant, which you can see on the screen. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God."
Thank you. Please remain standing if you will and join the choir and Tom Hoinaki, our new music director, in our opening hymn. Tom. Number 21 in your gray hymnal for the beauty of the earth. you. Thank you, Tom. Please be seated. Our congregation and the life we share together is like a river, always moving, always changing. We choose whether and how to enter into the flow, to share who we are in order to grow together. Today, we build a symbolic river with this water we've collected from our homes or places around the world. Because as we know, all water travels everywhere around the world. Even if I got it from the tap, it's already been to Egypt and Africa and back. Together, we pour from these separate vessels into the common container, and we join once again the streams of our own lives to the river of our common life together. We begin part one of our water ceremony now, as we should, thinking about drought, dryness, life without water. We can't appreciate it until we think about what life is like without it. As you know, this past summer, drought conditions around the world broke records. In France, Italy, Africa, rivers and reservoirs dried up. Since the year 2000, the UN says drought frequency and duration has increased by nearly a third globally. Here in the US, more than 130 million people are currently affected by drought. Even here in Massachusetts, where the state recognizes 4 levels of drought, we have been at level 3, just under emergency, for months now. This summer, the drought caused serious wildfires across the state, including at our own near and dear Breakheart Reservation. What does it mean to live our lives with less and less water? How do we face a drier future? I ask you now, as we head into our story, to pick up the rock that we handed you earlier and hold it in your hand. Feel its weight, feel its hardness. What would it be like if you, instead of being made of water, were made of stone? And now our story.
Today's story is called The Mountain That Loved a Bird by Alice McLaren. There was once a mountain made of bare stone. It stood alone in the middle of a desert plain. No plant grew on its hard slopes, nor could any animal, bird, or insect live there. The sun warmed the mountain and the wind chilled it, but the only touch the mountain knew was the touch of rain or snow. There was nothing more to feel. All day and all night, the mountain looked only at the sky, watching for the movement of the billowing clouds. It knew the path of the sun that crossed the sky by day and the course of the moon that crossed the sky by night. On clear nights, it watched the slow wheeling of the far-off stars. There was nothing more to see. But then one day, a small bird appeared. She flew around the mountain. Then landed on a ledge to rest and preen her feathers. The mountain felt the dry grasp of her tiny claws on the ledge. It felt the softness of her feathered body as she sheltered herself against its side. The mountain was amazed, for nothing like this had ever come to it from the sky before.
Who are you? What is your name?
I am a bird. My name is Joy, and I come from distant lands where everything is green. Every spring I fly high in the air for the best place to build my nest and raise my children. But I have never seen, and as soon as I have rested, I must continue my search.
But I have never seen anything like you before. Must you go on? Couldn't you just stay here with me on the mountain?
No. Birds are living things. We must have food and water. Nothing grows here for me to eat. There are no streams from which I could drink.
Well, if you cannot stay here, will you at least visit me again? Will you come back again someday?
I fly long distances, and I have rested on many mountains. No other mountain has ever cared whether I came or went. And so I will like to return to you. But I could only do so in the spring, before I build my nest. And because you are so far from food and water, I could only visit for a few hours.
I've never seen anything like you before, so even if it were only for a few hours, it would make me very happy to see you again.
There is one more thing you should know. Mountains last forever, but birds do not. Even if I were to visit, even if I were to visit you every spring of my life, there might be only a few visits. Birds do not live very many years.
I will be very sad when your visits stop, but it would be even sadder if you flew away and never returned.
Joy sat very still, nestled against the side of the mountain. Then she began to sing a gentle bell-like song.
La, 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 la.
It was the first music the mountain had ever heard. The mountain was shocked. They felt something like awe and wonder.
Your music is so beautiful. I don't know what to say. Thank you.
Wow. Because no other mountain has ever cared whether I came or went. And you do. I will make you a promise. Every spring of my life, I will return to greet you and fly above you and sing to you. And since my life will not last forever, I will give you one of my daughters in my own name, Joy, and tell her how to find you. And she will name a daughter Joy also and tell her how to find you. Each Joy will have a daughter Joy, so that no matter how many years pass, you will always have a friend to greet you and fly above you and sing to you.
Oh my, thank you, thank you, thank you, Joy. I feel both happy and sad. I still wish you could stay, but I'm glad that you will return.
Now I must go, for it is a long way to the lands that have food and water for me. Goodbye, until next year.
Joy the bird soared off, her wings like feathered fans against the sun. The mountain watched her until she disappeared into the distance.
Now, a moment of reflection. Sometimes our lives, or some parts of our lives, can feel like droughts. Like the mountain in the story, we can feel hard or dry inside, empty. We long for something that is missing, for nurture, for joy, for fulfillment in our lives. Now, if you will, I invite you to hold that rock in your hand, feel its texture and its weight. Is there some part of you right now that feels like a rock? What is it that you are longing for? What are you thirsting for? Now we enter into part 2, storms and sorrows.
Year after year, when every spring came, a small bird flew to the mountain singing. And for a few hours, the bird would fly above the mountain or nestle against its side singing. At the end of each visit, the mountain would always ask,
"Isn't there some way you could stay?"
and Joy always answered,
No, but I will return next year.
Each year, the mountain looked forward more and more to Joy's visit. Each year, it grew harder and harder to watch her go. 99 springs came and went in this way. On the 100th spring, when it was time for Joy to leave, the mountain asked once more,
"Joy, come back. I have a question. On this 100th spring that you visited me, isn't there some way now that you could stay with me?"
And Joy answered as she always did,
No, but I will return next year.
The mountain watched as Joy disappeared into the sky. And suddenly, its heart broke. The hard stone just cracked apart in pieces. And from the deepest part of the mountain, tears gushed forth and rolled down the mountainside in a stream. The next spring, a small bird appeared singing,
I am Joy, and I have come to greet you.
This time, the mountain did not reply. It only wept, thinking of how soon she would have to leave and of all the long months before she would come back again. Joy rested on her ledge and looked at the stream of tears. Then she flew around the mountain and sang as she always had.
I am Joy, and I have come to greet you.
When it was time for Joy to grow, the mountain still wept.
I will return next year.
We pause our story again and take time, as we do every week, for quiet and sharing. Today we'll do it slightly differently. First, we'll sing our centering song, then we'll have our 2 minutes of shared silence. Then, because we've reached the sad part of our story first, I will invite all of you to share your sorrows as you feel comfortable. Our centering song for September is "There's a River Flowing in My Soul," number 1007 in the Teal hymnal. We'll sing just the first 2 verses. Please remain seated. We'll have the lyrics on the screen, and then we'll move right into the silence.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. Wind and
Like the mountain in our story, we all have longing. Sometimes it leads to heartbreak. We find love and we lose it. Important people pass away or move on, and it feels like we are breaking apart. For some of us, that happened, or it happened again over this past summer. When we share our sorrows with one another in community, we learn to share the burden, to carry the weight together. Today, as an experiment, we will offer 2 ways to share your sorrows. Folks in the Zoom room can go ahead and type their sorrows into the chat box, and I will read them aloud in just a moment. Folks here in the room can share in 2 ways. First, if you prefer not to speak, I invite you to come forward, and while Tom shares some improvisational music on our piano, you will be invited to pour water into our common bowl and share your sorrow with your body and with your movement, but not with words. So we'll have a silent sharing first, and then those who wish to speak, I will invite up later on. Go ahead, Tom. So come forward now with quiet spirits and quiet bodies, and pour out your heart into the stream of our communal caring and love. And from our people at home, I have one sorrow I will read out now from Jane Foley. My friend for 40 years, Larry, died last month. I miss him very much. Now I invite those who would like to speak their sorrows to come forward. If you would like to, come forward, pour a little water out, and stand here at the microphone and use it so that everyone can see and hear you.
My brother, Charlie, is going through a time of great depression. I don't know quite what to do.
This is a very, very difficult day for me. This is in memory of all the friends that I lost when the towers collapsed, and all the people that I used to ride the train with that I never met. And also, ever since that happened, I have thanked God, the powers that be, call it what you will, that in the year 2000, I turned down a job on the 83rd floor of the World Trade Center, and I've never, ever been the same since. It's divided my life, and I'm just so thankful to be here.
Thank you for the sharing. Let us now take a moment to hold all the sorrows, both spoken and unspoken, in our hearts and minds. May we each honor them in our own way. May we reach out to one another with care and kindness. Let us pray for hope and for healing. Amen. Now we move to part 3.
When the next spring came, Joy the bird returned to the mountain. This time, she carried in her beak a small seed. Joy carefully tucked the seed into a crack in the hard stone. She put it close to the stream so it would stay moist. Then she flew around the mountain. The mountain still wept a stream of tears.
I am Joy, and I have come to greet you.
Seeing that the mountain was still unable to speak, Joy flew away once more. During the weeks that followed, the seed in the crack of the rock began to send down tiny roots. The roots reached into the hard stone little by little, spreading into yet smaller cracks, breaking through the hardness. As the roots found water in the cracks and drew food from the softening stone, a shoot rose from the seed into the sunlight and unfolded tiny green leaves. The mountain, however, was still deep in sorrow. Blind with tears, it did not notice a plant so small. And the next spring, Joy brought another seed. And the spring after that, another. She placed each one in a protected place near the stream of tears and sang to the mountain. The mountain still only wept. Years passed in this way, the roots of the new plants softening the stone near the stream of tears. As the soft stone turned to soil, moss began to grow in sheltered corners. Grasses and little flowering plants sprouted in hollows near the stream. And now I need the kids to come and help me put some plants up on the mountain. I think there's enough there for each of you to take one. No, we're not putting all of them up yet. All right. Tiny insects carried to the mountain by the wind scurried among the leaves. Meanwhile, the roots of the very first seed went deeper and deeper into the heart of the mountain. Above the ground, what had started as a tiny shoot was growing into the trunk of a young tree, its branches holding green leaves out to the sun. At last, the mountain began to notice the changes that had been taking place. So varied and wondrous were all these things, the mountain's tears changed into tears of happiness.
In his poem called Our Real Work, Wendell Berry writes, "It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And that when we no longer know which way to go, we have come to our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings." Unquote. The impeded stream is the one that sings. He means that the rocks in the way, the obstacles, it's them that make the music. The rocks make the creek gurgle, the river churn, the stream sing. Where is your life river going, I ask? Where are you on your journey? What are the obstacles in your way? What questions are baffling you? What does the river have to teach you? It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. Now is the time for yet another ritual, this one more familiar. Our church, it's called our offertory. Our church is a self-supporting organization funded by your generous annual pledge. You may contribute to our weekly collection plate, which we split every month with a deserving cause. Folks on Zoom can donate either way using the orange button at the top right corner of our homepage at melroseuu.org. For the month of September, we will be giving half of our collection to the Victims' Rights Law Center, which provides free, comprehensive legal services for sexual assault victims in Massachusetts. For our offertory music today, we have a special collaboration between our new church board president and gifted vocalist, Jenny Wengrovius, and our fabulous new music director, Tom Hoynatsky. This is a song called The River by Coco Love Elkhorn.
The river is a healer, the river is a sage, the river knows no end, and the river feels no age. The river is a leader every single day. It's living in the moment, and it always finds a way. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. The river calls me over, it's calling out my name. In the day and in the night I hear that river all the same. It's calling like a river gathers rain. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. The river is a traveler, always on the go. A river never worries if it's fast or if it's slow. River, take me to where I need to go, and I will just relax and let the river flow. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. Oh, by the water, by the water, by the water, I feel whole. Water, I feel whole. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down, when I go down to the water, when I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole.
Thank you. And now part 4.
Each year, joy returned, bringing another seed. Each year, more streams ran laughing down the mountainsides, and the ground watered by the new streams grew green with trees and other plants. All right, kids, let's come put the rest of the streams and the plants up on the mountain. You guys can keep doing that, and I'm gonna keep going with the story, okay? Now that the mountain no longer wept with sorrow, it began to ask again.
Joy, is there some way that you could stay?
No, but I will return next year.
More years passed, and the streams carried life far out into the plain surrounding the mountain until finally, as far as the mountain could see, everything was green. From lands far beyond the horizon, small animals began to come to the mountain. And if kids want to grab some animals from that bag, you can make the animals go to the mountain. Watching these living things find food and shelter on its slope, the mountain suddenly felt a surge of hope. Opening its deep-set heart to the roots of the trees, it offered them all its strength. The trees stretched their branches yet higher toward the sky, and hope ran like a song from the heart of the mountain into every tree leaf. And sure enough, when the next spring came, joy flew to the mountain, carrying not a seed, but a slender twig.
Oh my, oh my.
Straight to the tallest tree on the mountain she flew, to the tree that had grown from the very first seed. She placed the twig on the branch in which she would build her nest.
I am joy, and I have come to stay.
Sometimes it feels to us like things can never get better. Sometimes we can't see the change happening. Sometimes it takes 100 years for a tiny bird to plant enough seeds. But in the end, every seed matters. Every raindrop, every teardrop matters. Every tiny action makes a difference. Did you know that it took over 12 million years for the Colorado River to carve out the Grand Canyon? 12 million years. Just as the river changes the shape of the land, we humans get to use our values and our choices to change the shape of our lives and of our shared world. Sometimes we can't see our UU values shifting the culture. Sometimes it takes generations to see a difference. But eventually, the arc bends. In just a moment, I will call us forward to share our joys with the water. And when you do, if you want to come up, you'll find that there are also Sharpies on the table. Feel free to take the rock that you held in your hands and write a word on it if you want, a UU value that you live out, that you help to nurture in the world, that quenches a thirst or grows new life. It could be love or hope, voting rights, democracy, health care. What you value flows from you out into the world. Now it's time to share our joys and our gratitudes, first quietly and then with words. Folks on Zoom can go ahead and type your joys and gratitude into the chat box, and I will read them aloud in a moment. And now, while Tom plays some improvisational music again on the piano, I invite those who wish to move their bodies and come forward and pour water without words to pour out your joys into the stream of our communal caring and love. Then, if you also wish to write on your rock, you can do that too. Forward if you like. spoken joys. There are several from our Zoom room. Nita Penfold shares, "My granddaughter is expecting our second great-grandchild in the St. Louis area, and I will be moving there next spring." Congratulations, Nita. From John C. Wright. John, "I have a kidney donation surgery date of September 20. Oh, actually, this is not John, this is Lisa. Lisa is donating first, and John will receive later in the chain. So Lisa is donating September 20. We are hoping all goes as planned this time, and John's wait for a living donor is short. Let's see, do we have any other joys? I invite anyone who would like to speak their joy now to come forward. I have someone at Zoom said, "Oh, all those lovely people shared, but I didn't get to hear what was in their heart." So if you feel like sharing your joy aloud so everyone can hear, please do come forward now.
This water is from the Colorado Hot Springs, and we went there earlier this summer.
So after 25 years of serving as the executive director of the Melrose Alliance Against Violence, I retired on August 31st. And it's mixed for me, definitely, but hopefully I'll continue to do good things in the world.
I have a twofer. The first one is my friend Dean that I've told you about with the glioblastoma is doing an experimental treatment that is working. So his tumor has stopped. So this is a big deal for him, but also for the world, because this is one of the first times this has ever happened. And then for me, this summer, I decided to start a master's program that I'm very excited about in marriage and family therapy. So that'll be a big change for us. But yeah, I'm really excited to do it. And I'm happy to see everybody.
As many of you know, we've been sponsoring a woman from Afghanistan, and she is in a CNA program. Can you come closer? Okay, should I start again? We've been sponsoring a woman from Afghanistan in the Immigration Committee, and she's doing remarkably well. She started a training for CNA in Chelsea, and she has passed her written exam with 100%, flying colors, and she's just doing so well.
I have great joy in telling you that my third grandson was born at the end of June. His name is Leo, and he is precious, as all the children are.
I am Karen, and this is a joy that for my 70th birthday present, my grandson, my son, and his partner all flew to Boston, and we spent a week together. So it was such a treat to have the whole family together.
My husband James and I dropped off our daughter Lily for her first year at Tufts. Eli is starting his senior year as well. Life is moving on. Do we have any other joys? Thank you for your sharing. These joys weave us together as a community and remind us all of the joy of living. I ask you to take a moment to hold all the joys, spoken and unspoken, in your hearts and in your minds. Let them bless us and bless this community forward into a new year. Amen. I ask you now to rise in body and in spirit and join in our closing hymn, which is another beautiful water-themed hymn and a favorite among us. It is number 1064 in the Teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home.
Oh, below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from a rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart remains. I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge of wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here, my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrims know, making our way by the light of the heavens and the beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, breathe the infinite sea for me, sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Please remain standing, if you will, and join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Amen. Please be seated. Our service has ended. Friends on Zoom can stay in the main room for a conversation. Folks here can enjoy a postlude from Tom and then join us for coffee hour in Parish Hall, where masks are optional. It's been wonderful to worship with you. Thank you.